Well, here we are. It is Friday, November 29th, 2024. Here in the States, it's the day after Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody had a good day with their family or going out or doing whatever you wanted to do and celebrated a little bit. Before I get going, some of you noticed why I got some emails in the last couple of weeks, and they're asking me what's going on with my glasses because I keep changing the glasses I'm wearing. I had a problem in one of my eyes, and I've been going to an ophthalmologist and having it looked at. There's a ridge on my cornea, and they keep switching around the glasses and trying different prescriptions, and they finally got it. I went to a very good, very good ophthalmologist. He quickly figured out what the issue was and gave me a new script, and it's a whole new world. So there we are. So it's always something. But a few of you said, why do you keep changing glasses? How many pairs do you own? And they were just trying different lenses and seeing what they could do to correct it. And finally, I got fed up and went to a guy that was highly recommended, and I now know why he was highly recommended. So at any rate, there we are. A lot happened this past week in some areas. There's some very good results. But overall, the market still is pretty quiet. But a couple of auctions sort of surprisingly popped up in the interim. Rob Michaels over in Bruges is having a sale in December, and it's been added to the global member pages. And Masan, and we're going to get into that a little bit because I know a lot of you checked out the Masan sale last time, especially if you're a dealer, because there's a lot of opportunities there to buy some fairly generous lots. You can break them up and then sell them. If you're a dealer, you know how much you like lots. And if you're a collector, you should think about buying a lot if it has one piece in it that you like or two pieces, but there are multiple other pieces. Buy the lot that you like, take out the pieces you're going to keep, sell the rest, or turn them back into another auction house, let them resell it, and recover your expense. In many cases, you'll come out pretty close to what you paid, or even come out with a profit in some cases. So keep that in mind. One of the things that popped up this week, though, that's coming up on the 10th of December, this is on Live Auctioneers. William Bunch has a sale coming, and he's got this very nice Femi Vare Guanyin figure seated biscuitware, and it's got an old Chait Gallery label. And as I've said before, the Chait Gallery in New York handled and sold a lot of biscuitware. I'm beginning to think that they must have been the biggest Chinese Kangxi period biscuitware dealers in the world. So many pieces turn up in the auction market with their stickers on them, and they're all legitimate pieces. You may recall Doyle's had a bunch of them. Sotheby's has had them over the years. It's just something that they must have had an enormous clientele for. But this is on there right now. It's a nice one. It's about 6 or 7 inches in height. It's a biscuit decoration and so forth. And they're not dating it as any period or anything else. They're not giving it a lot of attention. So it may slip through the cracks. So if you like Kangxi period biscuit pieces and you've wanted to buy one and you want to Guanyin, this one is estimated very reasonably at just $800 to $1,200, $400 starting bid. It measures it's 8 3/8 inches tall. They said it may have some possible repairs, which is fairly common on biscuit pieces because they have fingers and areas, high points that tend to get damaged. So look it over, maybe get a detailed condition report. But even with minor repairs to fingertips and so forth, $800 to $1,200 is a bargain. We've seen these Guanyins in the past sell for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So if you've been looking for one, you take a shot, okay? And now over here to the Masan sale that I was just talking about, and this is what this is what I mean by lots. You take a look at this, and here is a whole group of Straits porcelain. If you everybody knows about the value of Nunez Straits ceramics porcelains, highly collected these days. It's a very folky, sometimes very, very colorful, bright colors, very festive, happy sort of porcelain. These are some nice examples, and there are a whole bunch of them. Somebody has a Straits collection. I don't know who it is, but these are all blue and white Straits bowls coming onto the market. There's some nice lots in here. Notice how many there are. Okay, and there's also some enamel pieces down here. 12 Straits Famille Rose, 10 Straits Famille Rose, 14 examples, and they're pretty. They're pretty nice. They appear to be, for the most part, 19th century pieces, from what I'm seeing. So if you are a dealer and you've been selling some of these and doing pretty well with them, it's time to restock, I think. So check out the Marsan sale. They're over in Bath. They do a very nice job. It's a family operation. They're very friendly and nice people. I've dealt with them, and I've talked to people who have done business with them. Everybody says they're so nice to work with. So don't be shy. And they're very helpful with they do in-house shipping. And somebody emailed me and said their shipping is very fair. So that's an obstacle out of the way if you're not in the UK or not nearby, and you're going to need shipping, especially if you're in the States and so forth. So there you are. Oh, and just as an aside, I bought a piece at the Druid sale over in the UK a couple of weeks ago. It's in transit right now on FedEx. And the shipping for that, they have a very good shipper over there that they recommend. And they ship this thing. They're shipping this thing FedEx to me for like $130. So Druids I think is working. Also, a lot of these auction houses are going to smarten up and start realizing they have to do something about their shipping situation. Either align themselves with a shipping company that does it very, very reasonably, or do their own. They're quickly running out of time on this because a lot of auctions don't get any attention because they're very poor at discussing how to get the stuff to you. And once they become good at that, and once they have a solid shipping thing that everybody's comfortable with, it won't be any different buying in London than it is, if you're in the States and buying in Duluth. It's just, or wherever. All right, so keep that in mind. So but the Marsan's got some nice shipping operations going on apparently, and these are some of the pieces that are coming up. These are these Straits blue and white bowls, very, very pretty set. This looks, this is an amazing grouping. Estimated at just $300 to $500. That's sort of a no-brainer as far as being profitable. And then there's 13 of these with these butterfly patterns, and you recognize many of you that have been dealing and or buying and selling and collecting or whatever, been around it. You'll recognize this pattern. This is a pattern that became very, very popular at the end of the Qing dynasty and was continued being used right up into the 1920s. But the black butterfly with the ascending other ones and then the flowers around them, it's a very, very pretty pattern. It's an awfully pretty pattern. It was so pretty that they just kept doing it. You won't find this pattern on earlier pieces. This is pretty much a straight up second half of the 19th century pattern and onwards, but it's extremely attractive. And these all have Tung Chi marks. They feel that they're probably Tung Chi period. And the family at Marsan, they've been around a long. They know Chinese art, so Chinese porcelain. So they may well be right on it. All of them have Tung Chi marks on them, and they certainly have the right foot rims. So there you go. And this is a nice lot. $600 to $800 for all of this, for all 13 pieces. Very reasonable. And then this is a big Nonya Straits bowl with rounded sides to it. It is almost 10 inches, about 10 inches in diameter. Very, very pretty. Nice, strong colors. This will do very, very well. This is a fairly, what they call a rare bird. It'll do just fine. So don't be surprised. It's already got a bid. It's up to $1,145. Expect it to bring a couple of thousand pretty comfortably. And if you collect this patterns, here it is. I didn't see this before. From the estate of a prominent Peranakan family, the Kushan Yu, and then by descent, he died in 1964. There you go. So that's where this stuff is coming from. It's coming from a family that was there, but there's a whole lot of it. And then there's some other stuff in here too. There's a very nice crackware dish. I like this a lot. It's a very unusual pattern. It's a charger. It's 35 centimeters in diameter, and it's got the floating dragons in the middle. And this is a pattern you don't see very often on these. It's very nicely decorated, very crisply decorated. And it looks to be in good shape. Minor ribbon fretting, but that's about it. And the back of it, is it all sandy or messed? No, it's not. Okay, there you go. It's got a decent looking back. You don't see half of the Fire Island beach on the back of it with all the sand and everything. And nicely done. Nicely done. This is a good plate. I like this. Yeah, it's very attractive because you'll notice that the center is sort of all floating elements rather than directional or something like that. And as I said, it's a pretty good sized plate. 35 centimeters, or about 13 and a half, 14 inches wide. So do check that out. The estimate's very reasonable: 400 to 800 pounds, 240 pounds starting price. It should get up there. This looks like $1,000 to $1,500 plate to me, but check that out. And then there's this very nice early 18th century. A bottle. It's very reminiscent of transitional pieces. It looks to be Kung Shi, but maybe early Kung Shi even. It's very nicely done. It's an unusual pattern. It's pretty striking, actually. It's very striking, actually. Yeah, I like this. Nicely done. How tall is it? It is 23 centimeters tall. It's got signs of repair on the rim and some overpaint at the top. So that's why the estimate is very reasonable, $200 to $300. Find out how much the overpainting is on it, because this could be, a great thing. Sometimes in the old days, and I've said this before, but it bears repeating. On these early ceramics, sometimes in the early 20th century, when they had a hairline or something on them, they would overpaint the top of it. But sometimes they would. I had a vase. I've told the story before. I had a vase once that I bought. It was about a 24-inch tall 18th century blue and white vase. And it had the whole upper neck of it looked like it had been restored. It was all overpainted. And just for the heck of it, I stripped the paint off. And all that overpainting was covering was a 1-inch hairline from the rim at the top. That was it. And to remedy that, it was pretty simple. I cleaned off all the paint, and then I tipped the vase upside down and stuck it in a strong bath of hydrogen peroxide for about a week. And that doesn't get rid of the hairline, but what it does is it very much makes the hairline much less noticeable. So that it isn't a distraction when you look at the piece and you're enjoying it. You don't see it. You could see it if you look closely, but that may be a similar case here. So you want to find out as much as you can about what the repair might have been, because it could be very minimal, but it looks like more than it is because of the overpainting. All right, now on to this. This is a very nice thing that's in the sale too. I like this. Caught my eye. It's a 19th century box, but it's a Zetan box, and I think the hinges on the inside have been replaced, from what I could see. These look like Western hinges. These boxes, often people open them carelessly and they'll let it fall and it'll damage it. So the hinges might be replaced. Have them look into that. But this is a later second half of the 19th century Zetan compartmented box. It's got a nice edge on it. I like it. It's got a great look to it. There's the bottom. It's got a beveled section on the bottom, and it measures a foot by It measures 1 foot by 6 inches by 6.5 inches. So it's a fairly good sized box, estimated at just 300 to 500 pounds with a 180-pound opening bid. So check that out. And then there's other things in here in the sale like this. These two blue and white Chinese plates, early Qing, Kung Shi period probably. Nice looking pair of dishes. And they measure about how big are these? These are about 8 inches in diameter, 7 or 8 inches in diameter. 80 to 120 pounds. I don't know. They always have reasonable estimates, so do check them out. All right, absolutely worth it. Now, on to the Bonhams sale that took place last week. This was the MArsh collection. We were talking about all these fabulous transitional wear pieces that were in here. And I want to remind everybody, if you want to see the catalog, they did a really, really good job with the catalog on this sale. And at the beginning of it, there's a lot of scholarship in this catalog, much more than you usually see in auction catalogs. There's sections with lots of explanations and where these pieces had been exhibited and so forth. Very nicely done catalog. It isn't downloadable, so we can't load it into the bookcase on the site, but it is still available on the Bonhams website. So you can go over there and check it out and go through it. It's very, very well done. The literati taste in custom-made pieces and so forth. And we're going to talk about this plate here. It brought up a lot of money. It did awfully well. Again, the demand for this stuff is enormous, so do expect to see a lot more copies. They're going to continue to turn up in the market because the transitional wear pieces are still climbing. Everybody thought a while ago maybe they've sort of leveled off now. They haven't at all, and the prices are going up up on transitional pieces. And we're going to go through some of those prices, and you'll see what I mean. There was this. This was that a brush pot, very, very nicely done. It was sold by the Marchands in London. It was estimated at it was sold for 512,000 Hong Kong pounds, or about what's that work out to, about $65,000 dollars, and it was estimated at about half that. So it went way over its estimate. It was beautifully done brush pot, and it had good, the dealer that it was bought from is a very good reputation, obviously, and it's a wonderfully decorated pot. Really like it. And it, so as I said, 512,000 pounds, or about almost $65,000 U.S. currency. And then there was this one. This was another piece that was, again, estimated well below what it ended up selling for. It sold for 384,000 Hong Kong. Very nice Wutsai example. Beautifully done. Again, classic transitional work. There you go with the floating clouds, and there's the landscape. They also took the time to do these panoramic images so you could really follow the piece, which I really like these, especially when things are decorated in the round. It makes such a big difference. And it's a beautiful example of ladies at leisure. And again, did really well. 384,000 pounds, I think it was about 30% over its high estimate. And then there's this. This just took off. This was estimated at I don't know, it was estimated at like 500,000 to 800,000 pounds or something. Ended up selling for 1.1 million Hong Kong, or about 100. This is a dish, remember? And you're looking at these dishes. We've all seen them before. These transitional player plates. This is not a charger. This is a saucer. I don't know how big it is. 6-7 inches. Let's see how big it is. 8 inches in diameter. It's fairly small. Not a particularly big piece, but beautifully done. It's got a lot of documentation, obviously, on it. Wonderfully decorated. 1.1 million Hong Kong, or about that works out to about 100 and what is it? 100 about $110,000, $115,000 for this dish. And it wasn't that many years ago that a dish like this in an auction anywhere wouldn't have brought more than maybe 5,000 or 10,000 at the most. But these pieces, like I said, have really taken off because of the scholarship of the last 30 years to do with this market. And again, mostly owed in thanks to Sir Michael Butler. All right. And then over to this, the very, very rare brush pot that we talked about with the bamboo groves. I just love this thing. And it was estimated, I think, at 2 to 4 million Hong Kong, somewhere around there. And somebody emailed me after the video came out of this, and they said, do you really think this thing is even going to sell? And I wrote back, I said, I bet it does. It is so spectacularly decorated. There's a very nice write-up on it. This is one of the best transitional brush pots maybe in the world. And it sold for 3.5 million Hong Kong, or about, what does that work out to? About about a little over $400,000 for this brush pot. And that not many years ago, again, was an unheard of number for a transitional period brush pot. If you look back to the video of the interview with Mr. Butler, he talked about what he paid for things not that long ago. The famous iron red dragon vase that he bought from the Marchand family. I think he paid $800 for it, and it sold for $800,000. A few decades later. So it just shows you how much the market has changed. But again, it also indicates how great it is, how important it is to buy from good dealers. It sort of locks you into for the future in many cases. Anyway, this was a wonderful example. Spectacular quality, did awfully well too. And then there was another one over here. This was estimated at around 400,000 to 600,000 Hong Kong. Ended up selling for 639,000 Hong Kong. Very, very nice scholar's brush pot. Again, galloping horses and inscription in calligraphy and so forth. The bottom looks exactly like it should. Very, very clean. This one has been cleaned nicely, so you can really see the detail of the paste and so forth. There's a little bit of wear on the outer edge. You can just barely see it, which you do see on the old ones. And they will be polishing those rims in Ching to Chen pretty soon when they start producing these, because they're going to want to make them look old. So be careful. And then over to this, the Imperial Enamel Qianlong Poem Brush Pot, a Qianlong period. This had a lot of interest. Again, did very, very well. 4.4 million Hong Kong, or about what does that work out to? About $500,000, a little over 500,000 for it. Very lovely example. And then the transitional Wutsai Lohan's elephant, they call these elephant leg vases or sleeve vases. You can call them either. Went well over, I think the high estimate on this was about 900,000 or so. Went well over that to 1.2 million Hong Kong, or around, again, 110,000 US. And these vases, it wasn't that many years ago. I remember you could buy these pretty much anywhere for under $7,000. Wasn't that long ago. And today, look at them, just way up there. And then over to this. This was that big table that was in the bottom sale. They had that two-part sale. I guess the round table didn't sell or something. I don't know what happened. It didn't appear in the results. But this one did. It sold for 7.6 million Hong Kong, or just a hair under $1 million. And it was worth it. This was a great table. Beautiful Huanhua Li painting table. Very fine quality, great color, good detail, simple, elegant thing. Just a wonderful table. And again, Chinese furniture is still doing just fine. That market is very fine. There's certain markets, it seems, really, really hang on and remain steady. Silks, good furniture, certain types of bronzes. Transitional wares now are coming into that realm as well. Very consistent, very strong interest. All right, and then over to this sale. This was the other sale that they had at Bonhams. This was the Fook Chuen's Lifelong Passion Collection. And there's some awful nice, awful pretty pieces in here, and some unusual pieces. And we're going to go through, I'm not going to go through the whole sale, but it had some unusual and interesting results. There was this very interesting, they call it exquisite and rare flambe glazed jar. And what's interesting about this, it caught my eye because it has the appearance of a large, like, water jar. These big jars that you see in Asia, you see them in other places too, but big utilitarian water jars, that maybe 3 or so feet tall, good sized pots. This is tiny. It's 7 inches in height. It reads visually like a much bigger piece, which is always interesting, but it was only 7 or 8 inches tall, but it had this spectacular glaze. And it's mark and period, Yongshen, but spectacular glaze. Just beautiful, vivid colors. It's got this wonderful top here with the reds in the flambe pulled back, and it fired it. The firing came along, and it turned it a little bit green, which can happen with copper reds and so forth. So you can get that green flash at the top, and then this wonderful running blue down through the red over the body, and these rebuses going around the side of they look like flower heads. Very nice. There's the mark on the bottom. And the last time this was sold, apparently, was in May of 1985. So it's been in a collection for a good long time. 1988 was the last time. And then it's been, it was published in a book, The Hall of Refined Elegance. And it doesn't say when, but I assume it was probably in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. This did really well. Ended up selling for 1.6 million Hong Kong, or about $200,000. U.S. currency. But as I said, it was fairly small, 7 7/8 inches in height, but very, very pretty in an unusual form. And then there was that big red Langyao baluster vase, these Zun vases. This is a nice one. It was 18 inches tall, very, very attractive. It did great. It brought about $60,000, which is right up there. And this is what the slightly lesser examples bring 15 to 30,000. Then you get into these with this coloring, this sort of almost a liver red color. And they can take off, and that's what this one did. So about 60,000 for it. And then this, I thought this was just a pretty vase. It didn't sell for a huge amount of money. It was one of these, you recognize the form if you collect Chinese porcelain. It's a form that was made in the 18th and the 19th century. It's a very, very attractive shape, and it's got nice handles on it, these dragon head handles on the sides. But the whole body was incised with decoration. That's the one thing you didn't see. If you looked at it without magnifying it, you wouldn't realize that it was all decorated, all incised decoration from top to bottom. Beautiful looking pot, and ended up doing just fine in the end. Ended up at $70,000, or around, what's that work out to, about 8,000 US, something like that, 8,000 US dollars. But very, very attractive, and it was good size. It was 19 inches in height, and this is the kind of thing, if you like monochromes and you don't care if it's mark and period or not, this would be an awfully nice buy for someone. It's a great looking piece of porcelain. And then over to this is a sale that's coming up. Oh, one of the things I wanted to get, where's that? this. Before I go any further, I posted this over on the Patreon this morning with my thoughts on it, but I thought I'd share them here too. This was this conjoined pieces of Yansai vases that came up at Sotheby's. It ended up doing very, very well. It sold for 42.6 million Hong Kong, or about 5.5 million US. Now, you think that's a lot of money. I think this was a relative bargain. This is the only grouping of them known of this type in the world. There is no other type. This piece was in a collection. There's a long history on the collection where it came from. It hadn't been on these vases haven't been on the market in decades. They've only been sold once or twice, and they found the paperwork on these, which is really fascinating on this, from the Imperial archives. They have the paperwork for when these vases were ordered, and that's why the lot is listed as what they called it, the farewell, a farewell tribute from Tang Ying to his emperor. And Tang Ying, of course, was the legendary head of the kilns in Qingdacheng. He was the local tax collector. He had worked for Yongshen and then Qinlong. He went there actually not knowing much about porcelain, but he was an extremely intelligent man. He was an artist. He was one of these sort of Renaissance guys of his day, and he was a quick study, and he had impeccable taste. And he began making things very intentionally just to thrill the emperor, and he encouraged his potters and decorators to do things that were fun. And at the end of his time there, this was shortly before he died. This was apparently, according to the records, these were made in 1754, and he retired and passed on a year or two later. But this was something he had made, evidently, according to the records, for the emperor, and they were received and then were sent to the palace in Johor afterwards. But this is an absolutely fascinating pair of three vases conjoined. Now, they did other conjoined vases, but not in this manner and reticulated and so forth. And the reason I thought that these were a relative bargain was that I was surprised in a way that they could have brought maybe 10 or 15 million. When I read the description of them and saw how they were the only ones, I thought, boy, these things should really take off. And they didn't really. 5.5 million. That's a good price. It's a really, really good price. But I think what held them back is there were no comps. And people who with heavy money that are speculative collector investors, there's a lot of collector investors out there, especially in this price range for Asian art, and they don't know what to pay. They don't know what to pay for things. So they'll sometimes, because they don't have a comp to go by, they'll just come up with sort of a friendly number that they can live with if they're wrong. You can't really be wrong on something that's one of a kind. It's Imperial, and with all this history behind it, it's never going to be. They're not going to suddenly come up with 5 of them because they have the written record on this one when they know it was made, pretty much. And I think this was a great buy. I think this was one. It's a lot of money. It's a huge amount of money, and these are revolving vases. You can see here. These are hollowed out. They're hollow inside and reticulated. But wow. That's all I can say. And I think whoever got it in the long run is going to just be very, very pleased. When you only own the only one in the world, and it's Imperial, and it was made by Tang Ying, and it was meant for the Qinlong Emperor very specifically, there's no downside. There's no downside. I think this was a great buy. All right, now hopping along over to this thing. The Sense and Soundness sale at Sotheby's is coming up, and I don't know if any of you have looked at this sale yet, but it's a very interesting auction, and it's coming up in a few days. It's this one. I'm going to flip this up here, and the reason I think it's so interesting. There's a lot of monochromes, and if you're an incense burner fan, check this auction out. It is loaded with incense burners of all kinds. It's more than incense burners, but there's a lot of them in here. Some nice jades and so forth. And I want to just quickly go through some of it to see sort of whet your appetite a little bit. There's this very nice lion mask incense burner with an unusually high side to it. This is a very unusual one, and it's unreserved. That's the other thing. Check out how many blue boxes are in this sale. Over here, you'll see where it says no reserve. So the bidding on this started at, I think it started at $1. I think they start them all at $1 when they do that, or $100 or something. This has already 4 bids. It's up to 1,500. It's got a 20 to 50,000 Hong Kong estimate. Remember to divide Hong Kong dollars roughly by 8 if you want to ballpark quickly in your head what it would be in U.S. currency and so forth. But at any rate, this is estimated 20 to 50,000 Hong Kong. It's got a 1,500 in Hong Kong bid on it so far. It's a very nice little crackle glazed ghee type incense burner. There are a lot of these in here. There's a bunch of them. There's this one with the mask and ring handles on it. Southern Sung to early Yuan period. It's sort of a Qingbai glazed affair, but very nicely done. Really nice piece of Qingbai. And these are notoriously difficult to date to a specific time. So they often will say Southern Sung to Yuan just to be safe. And I don't blame them. Anyway, 30 to 50,000. It's up to 24,000 Hong Kong already. I think this is going to do better than that. I think the estimate was a little bit on the low edge. I wouldn't be at all surprised if it ended up selling for 80 to 100,000 Hong Kong at all. I wouldn't be surprised. One bit, 15, 20,000 US for this. That wouldn't be a surprise either. It's a very unusual piece. And then over to this, one of these very well-known types, early 17th century, mid-17th century Blanc de Chine pieces. And it has sort of a bluish tinge to it. This is a nice one. The feet on it are particularly well done. And the foot is as its full height. That roux head comes right down all the way. And it's got this very nice reticulated metal top. Usually when they have these reticulated metal tops on them, I often think maybe it was in a Japanese collection at some point. It might have been. Because they love to put metal tops on things for their own collections. There you go. It's a nice looking example, estimated at 60 to 100,000 Hong Kong, and it's already up to 20,000 Hong Kong. And whatever the reserve is on it, it was met with the first bid, it would appear. So it's going to sell no matter what. And the estimate is very reasonable, 60 to 100. That's what does that come out to? About 8 to 12,000 or so Hong Kong U.S. dollars, 8 to 10,000. And then hopping along over to this, one of these more well-known round Blanc de Chine pieces, again with a metal top on it. There's the bottom of it. It's got an old C.T. Tang & Company sticker on it. It's a dealer. And what will that go for? It'll do pretty well. It's already got 17 bids, and it's up to 8,000 Hong Kong, which is about 1,000 US. I expect it to bring. I would think it would bring 3,500 to 4,500 US, somewhere in there. It's estimated at sort of in that range, 30 to 60,000 Hong Kong. So the rest, they're sort of that's a pretty wide estimate. But I would think 3,500 to 5,000, somewhere around there. All right, and then over to this nice Celadon example from the Yuan dynasty. There's the interior of it. With the little holder for the incense, estimated at 30 to 50,000, 2,000 Hong Kong is where it's at right now. It has no reserve, and it's already got bids. And the same goes for this, another Blanc de Chine example, 50 to 80,000. It's got 9 bids. It's up to 4,000 pounds. All of these will get to their estimates. I'm pretty confident in that. They should. Most of them will. But it's an interesting sale. If you like incense burners, just keep looking. There's lots of them. This is a nice Yuan dynasty, a low one. It's about 7 or 8 inches in diameter. Very nice detail. And it's got these sort of lion mask face handles on the bottom. And then these rebuses going around the outside. A very nicely proportioned flanged top. Fits the scale and proportion of this incense burner, particularly attractive visually as far as their scale and scope goes. And the glaze is nicely done. Estimated at 60 to 90,000 Hong Kong, or, that works out to what, about 7,000 to $10,000 US around there, which is fine. It's already up to 8,000. And then this one, another example, Southern Sung Celadon example, beautifully done, 30 to 60,000 Hong Kong, 2,000 Hong Kong already on it, at 5 bids. All of these pieces are getting lots of action because there's no reserves. Reserves bring people in. People don't understand the dynamic of reserves. You put pieces up and let everybody know there's no reserve on it, you get bids. Because they don't feel like they're fighting against the owner. to get it away from them. It's there to be sold, and it's a very, very smart move. If you're consigning to an auction house, always consider no reserve. And if you go back through the history of these auction houses, Sotheby's and Bonhams and so forth, when they've had no reserve sales, the no reserves do just as well as everything else and often do better because it seems you have more of a shot at it. And once people feel they have a shot at something and they begin to really look at it, they begin to really want it, and it's a fair fight, as they say, and people will chase it. I think no unreserved pieces they'll chase harder than pieces have crazy high estimates. Crazy high estimates, as I've said many times, kill lots. It's a lot killer. People that collect, that buy in these price ranges, they know what the stuff is worth. You don't have to tell them. All right, and then over to this. This is just one thing I'm putting in here sort of at the end. This is in the polychrome sale. It closes in a few days on December 4th. Is this spectacular piece of bamboo root carving. This is one of the nicest ones I've ever seen. I had one very, very similar to this years ago. There was two figures standing like this on the back of a bamboo elephant holding up a vase like this. And they were smaller, but they were on top, and it reminded me of that. But this is meticulously carved. This has better carving up here than mine did. This is a really, really great piece of bamboo. Fantastic. And it's got a fairly strong estimate, 200 to 400,000 Hong Kong, but it's got 6 bids and it has no reserve. There's no reserve on this. All right, none. So they're estimating it at what does that work out to? About $25 to $40,000, but there's no estimate. There's no reserve. So if it goes for $5,000, it goes for $5,000. And if you like bamboo and you've wanted to own a great piece of bamboo, there's a number of good bamboo lots on the polychrome sale over here. You could check it out. But this is one of my favorites. There's a bunch of other good wood carvings in this sale too. So it's if you like wood carvings like I do, go through it. You'll see some great pieces. Even if you don't buy them, always save the images and for later study and to learn more about carving techniques and so forth. All of that is so important. All right, and then hopping along over to what's people forget who I warn people about who are selling on eBay. And again, we're back to somebody had sent me in through the inquiry service a bunch of plates from Woolworths down in Rhode Island. And as I've commented on many, many, many times, they sell a lot of fakes. And they guarantee them. They 100% money back guarantee. They have to guarantee them. They have to agree to take them back 100% because they don't have a choice. So in here, they're saying that they'll take them back 100. They'll always take them back if you're not satisfied. 100% money back guarantee. That's because they have to. It's not, for any other reason, I don't think. At any rate, this is a fake. This is a blatant fake of a Jeune de Market Period dish. Obviously, if it was Jeune de Market Period, it would be on the front cover of a Sotheby's catalog. All right, and then over to this, they have this, they're calling it a large 18th century bean teal porcelain. I don't know what bean teal is, but anyway, it's a dragon jar. This is a repro. This is a brand new repro. It has no age. This is the bottom of it. And if you're looking at this, just so you're wondering how I can tell so quickly this is a repro, notice the discoloration, this sort of dingy looking bottom. It's not always on these, but in this particular case, it's a dead giveaway that this is a reproduction. It's not white. It's sort of a grayish, muddy, dingy color. And that will not wash off. If you think it'll wash off, it won't. The mark is is drawn freehand. Which often confuses people, and they do it for that reason. They know that people look for freehand drawn fork, the seal mark, all right? But the bottom of this dingy coloration around here on the bottom should instantly tell you, and the shape is wrong, and the decoration isn't right. There's a whole lot wrong with this vase. It's up to $300. It closes in 4 hours later on today, and I'm only just mentioning these because I know some of you maybe forget and whatnot. This is another piece that closes in 4 hours from today. It's an 18th century porcelain Qing Dynasty Qinlong mark vase. No, it's not. This is brand new. The form is nonsensical. The rim is too thick. The decoration is not right for the period. The glaze is wrong. There's a lot wrong with this vase. And the same thing with this. This is a vase they're peddling as Yuan Dynasty. It's not Yuan. Those are the Yuan. Those are that you buy blue and white know right away. Instantly looking at this, this is a knockoff. It's an absolute fakeroo. The foot is everything wrong. Everything on this vase is wrong. Every part of it, every single part of it is wrong, other than it's a moon flask, and they did moon flasks. But the shape of this one, the proportions are wrong, the decoration and scale is terrible, and it's up to $420, and I'm going to bet this thing jumps at the end. It's a shame. This is another fake. They're calling this a Southern Sung Dynasty Guanyin statue. Yeah, the real ones, they did actually do ones that look like this. This isn't one of them. This is a repro. All right? And so forth. So I'm just, again, right now, the two biggest problems on eBay selling site is a seller called, this Woolworths down in Rhode Island, and another one called Ancient Rhyme. And he sells, many of you are very aware of him, he sells nothing but copies, as far as I can tell. I haven't seen him sell an authentic antique for quite some time. I think he did at one point. I think he was selling some stuff that was legitimate, but I haven't seen any of it in over a few years. So I don't know what's going on there. So just stay away from him, all right? Just stay away from him. Woolworths, I was very disappointed in them when they started doing this, because prior to that, they had a really good reputation. They were honest. They displayed things properly and so forth. And they've been in the trade a long time. So they know, they've got a golden goose or somebody's feeding them this stuff, and it's too bad. It's just too bad. And they're making money off of everybody, but and I'm assuming they're getting pieces sent back to them, but their rating has dipped down now. They're 99.6. I think they've maybe had some problems, but at any rate, just be very careful of them. All right, just avoid them. Now, over here on the newsletter page, how things went last week, pretty good. Is it, the beginning here we saw with the transitional pieces did very well at Bonhams. Well, they do pretty well on eBay too. This is a very typically found jar. It's got a big crack through the upper part of the body, as you can see. It's been repaired, and it's still sold for $815. And that is because the transitional market is just so darn strong. And I'm not at all surprised. Somebody will take that and get it cleaned up. It'll be fine. But $815 for a broken and restored small transitional period jar in Mutsai, in not a rare form. It's just a nice looking jar. There's nothing wrong with it. If you bought it, you did fine. But $815 as opposed to $150 10 years ago for one of these in that condition. That's all changed. And then this very nice painting. I talked about it last week. I thought it would be awfully attractive for someone to put up. I hope one of you bought it. I think it was very, very nice looking aesthetically piece. $229. There you go. A very reasonable price. You see, you can still buy very nice Chinese objects, peeling objects in your price range. If you can't, if you can't afford the $100,000 piece, and very few people can, you can buy these. There are lots of things to buy and collect and enjoy, and this was one of them for a fairly modest amount of money. And then over here to this, Epcar has this very early piece of Japanese Arita ware closing. When does this close? It ends on Sunday of the birds. I really, really like this. It's up to $275. It'll get up there at the end. It'll probably double or triple that at the end, I suspect. But it's a very beautifully decorated example. The shading and the coloration, the way the artwork is executed, the whole composition of the place, the way the plate is done is very appealing. Nice example. All right. Now, to this. I meant to Wondrous Things. He's one of our inquirers, and hear from him from time to time down in Florida. We have his items on the Buy It Now page featured all the time because he has some very attractive pieces. And he emailed me to tell me that they were doing sort of an end of the year thing where they're going to clean out and sell off a lot of stuff. And they if you go in there and look at the prices on on his things, Wondrous Things, they're on the newsletter page down at the bottom where all the fixed price items are. It looks like he's given everything pretty much across the board a 40% haircut. And it makes them very, very attractive prices. Absolutely check it out. You have this very large, looks to be an 18th century Japanese Amari charger, 21 inches in diameter. This thing is a beast. $1,600. Now that it's on sale for $1,600. That's a heck of a charger and beautifully done. Beautifully done. Heck of a plate. Probably mid to late 18th century. Really, really lovely. And then over here to this is this very nice Kangxi Chinese Amari covered jar, 7 inches in height, $780. This is a nice one. I think there was one that we saw a while ago that had been broken all the way down the side in half. And it sold in an auction for about $480 with a total break right through the whole body. It looked like a brick fell on it. This one I think has a repair to the lid or something. Maybe the little finial or something on it's repaired, but the rest of it's fine. $779. And then, there's a whole bunch of them in there. So absolutely check it out. Absolutely check it out. And that's about it. This was another thing I was looking at. Okay, get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. So do have a look at Wondrous Things on the newsletter page this week. There's some new things, but there's not a lot. As I said last week, we went through the list of things. We even on the bid amount site, if you go over there and click the box that brings up things that have bids on them, you're only going to find a total in the U.S. right now of auction lots in the U.S. that has one or more bids. Out of all those listings, it's around 300 pieces in the entire country right now. Very little activity going on. Very few auctions. There are actually more live bidding auctions, more live bidding on lots in the UK than in the entire United States right now. Because everybody here sort of gets ready for the holidays. And as I said, it's a very good time to buy if you can find some things to buy, because a lot of people aren't looking and won't be looking until the end of the year. And if you want to check it out, check out the Wondrous Things sale, check out other auctions. Look for the things that are sleeping, because there may be some very good prices. And again, that Marsh sale is coming up so close to Christmas in the UK. I would absolutely go over there and register and leave just carpet bomb the place with bids, because you're probably going to get some good lots. Somebody emailed me a few weeks ago that did that with Marsan, and he got one lot for nothing. I was shocked. He got a great buy. So always be willing to do that. It sounds strange to do it, but you never know which pieces are going to be the best buys. So just leave a bid that you'd be happy to pay any day of the week for an object. That's sort of my rule of thumb. If you see something, what would you pay for that no matter what at any time? Well, leave that as a bid. You may get it. All right, that's about it for the week. Subscribe here if you haven't so far. I don't know what we're doing over the weekend. I hope you all got plans. Get your Christmas shopping done. If you haven't started yet, I haven't done a thing yet myself, so I shouldn't be lecturing anybody, but that's the way it is. But have a great weekend, and thank you for watching. And check out the newsletter page and check out the Patreon page for that. I did a little bit on that conjoined vase on my thoughts about it, if you haven't seen that. And let me know if you agree with it. Leave a comment over there. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.